Hi, I'm Helen and this is Why Mums Don't Jump. Busting taboos about leaks and lumps after childbirth. All the stuff that happens to your pelvic floor that no one ever talks about. Incontinence, prolapse, pelvic pain, problems that affect millions of women, 1 in 3. I'm one of them. I have a prolapse. My pelvic organs fell out of place after the birth of my second child. And if you had told me back then that I would be speaking about this stuff out loud, I would have told you to give your head a wobble. We're back, and I am so happy to be able to bring you another series, and on International Women's Day no less. You know the deal. We'll have brave and badass women sharing their experiences of pelvic floor problems, as well as expert voices to help us on the right track. And these conversations, they do make a difference. I'm still getting messages all the time from women who have struggled to find good information and support, who are isolated because of the stigma that surrounds these conditions. So if that's you, you are not alone. You have found your people. And if you haven't heard the pod before, then welcome. I would really recommend going back and listening from the start, where, amongst other things, you'll hear me wanging on about my prolapse and how I've come to terms with it. On that front, everything is ticking over just fine at the moment. I'm still in a sort of on-off relationship with pelvic floor exercises, not because I want to be, just because I just keep forgetting to do it. I'm still mostly running a couple of times a week in the local park. I'm doing a bit of Pilates and I'm waiting for a pessary appointment and waiting. So it's there, the prolapse is there, but it doesn't rule my life in the way that perhaps it sort of once did. So there is hope. Today's episode, I am delighted to say, is sponsored by Modibodi, the original period and leak-proof underwear. I came across them a couple of years ago because a side effect of my prolapse is that I can't wear tampons or cups anymore. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. They just don't stay in. And then I heard about period pants and I haven't looked back. Modibodi are my absolute go-to. They come in a range of different absorbencies, a ton of different colours and shapes, and because they're reusable, they're better for the planet. I recently bought myself a Modibodi swimsuit, which I know sounds crazy, but I tried it on holiday and it was great. And there's even a maternity and postpartum range, which includes leak-proof bras and camis. So if you fancy trying Modibodi for periods or for leaks, you can use the discount code WMDJ15 to get yourself 15% off. Thanks to Modibodi for sponsoring today's episode. Let's get into it. Carina White is a broadcaster, a cultural commentator. She's also one of the hosts of the podcast Black Mums Up Front, which, if you haven't heard it, is brilliant. It's just loads of honest and sometimes hilarious chat about motherhood and life, and they don't shy away from difficult subjects. In one of the episodes, I heard Carina speak about how she's been dealing with incontinence for years. And well, you know me, I tracked her down.
So you're having all this great chat, and then you just sort of piped up that actually, you know, incontinence has been a thing for you.
Yeah.
Were you planning on bringing it up at that point? Have you mentioned it before? Or
literally, we just end up talking. Like, it's so weird because people say, "Oh, like, you know, do you have like a script or a plan about what you're going to talk about?" And it's like, nah. Just sometimes something might come to our mind, and we're like, "Oh, I was just going to say that," and sometimes it's like, "Oh, I can't believe I said that." But I think because of kind of what we're about, and we want to keep conversations going and have those really important conversations that sometimes you don't want to necessarily have for whatever reason. It's really important to kind of be the one that kickstarts that conversation. So yeah, no, it wasn't planned at all. But yeah, that's just typical us, really.
that's exactly what it is. And then anytime I hear that happen, I'm just like, yes. And I need to speak to that person. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it.
No, that's fine. No problem at all.
Going right back to the beginning with it all, like this started after your daughter was born, immediately after, right? Tell me a bit about what happened.
Yeah, so I had my daughter, and I was really lucky because she came so quickly. I didn't have any pain relief, anything. So I was like, hello, like, I need my pain relief, like, please give me gas and air, something. They were like, oh no, you're too far along, like, it's just time to push now. And I'm like, what? But yeah, I didn't have any pain relief, and she came so quickly. But I did tear. So I had, I think they call them second degree tears. So it was like I didn't want to use the toilet. Like I was literally like sat on the toilet, going wee and like pouring water down there to try and like soothe the burn, and like running a bath and sitting in it. And I noticed that I couldn't hold the wee, so I didn't want to go toilet because I knew it was going to hurt, but I couldn't hold it either. Like I would feel it starting to trickle out, and I was like, "What?" And I think that was probably the first time that I noticed that actually, yeah, like I've got a really weak bladder now. Like I can't hold my wee in anymore. And as the years have gone on, it's got like progressively worse, and probably more and more and more and more and more embarrassing as well. And it's like a running joke now amongst my friends, like when we go out partying or something like that, they're like, Karina, have you, like, literally they'll, I'm like a child, so they'll be like, Karina, have you used the toilet before we leave the house? Have you used the toilet? And it's like having to, it kind of, as much as I laugh about it, it does really affect kind of my social well-being, because if we're going out on a night out, right, everyone will be in the taxi or in the car or whatever, drinking on the way, and I have to calculate in my mind how far is the journey being in the car, because if I sit in the car and drink, I will not make it to the toilet, right? And I can't hold it. Or if we're like, out and about, summer, I remember one time I was at my friend's house, and her daughter was on the trampoline and jumping up and down. I'm such a big kid, right, Helen, like a massive kid. So I was like, right, yeah, at my big age, like past 35, I was like, right, I'm getting on the trampoline. And I went on and I did one jump, came back down. I was like, yep, nope, not for me, because I could literally feel the wee coming out. I
Oh
was
my
like, yeah,
God.
guys, no, sorry. I've got to go inside. And so yeah, I definitely noticed it after having my daughter. And
You
yeah,
were
it's
so
just,
young then as well. I mean, if that's
yeah.
12 years ago, you were what, like early 20s or something?
Yeah, so I'm 36, 37. Although because we've been in the pandemic for 2 years, I keep saying to everyone, when this
Oh, we
pandemic's
don't
over,
count
I'm,
that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
we don't count
Rewind.
that.
Yeah.
So technically, I'm approaching 35. That's
Uh-huh.
my, that's my
Yep. Good,
pre-pandemic
good.
age, and that's what I'm sticking to. So yeah, I was like 25 when I had my daughter, just turned 25 when I had my daughter. So yeah, still quite relatively young, and so to have to deal with that, it's kind of like, oh, this is so irritating. And I've done all the pelvic floors, and everyone says do the pelvic floor exercises, and tighten back up your muscles. And I'm like, guys, I've tried that, like literally I've tried that, and it's so frustrating because people say, just tighten your muscles, do your pelvic floors. Like that works for everyone. It doesn't work for everyone. And I think I have it quite extreme, and it can take over your life, and it can be quite demoralizing. It can be, you know, um, I know it sounds dramatic, and I am a very dramatic person, but it is quite heart-wrenching sometimes that, there's been times where I've been out and it's like, right, I need to go to the toilet, and straight away I need to go. And I can't hold it. And, it just takes away from you being able to have fun when you're out and about. So I'm Jamaican, right? Going to carnival is a big thing for me. I can't go to carnival anymore because in my mind I have to think, oh, when am I going to be able to use the toilet? I'm going to want to use the toilet. And I think I've been probably once or twice in the last 10 years. And a big part of that is because I'm like, how am I going to use the toilet? Or going to like a festival. I'm like, okay, if I go to a festival, I'm going to have to get like VIP tickets or something like that. So there's like, not so many people needing to use the toilet. So I'm not going to have to queue up. So it's all of these things. And it's so irritating. So, so irritating.
Karina, that doesn't sound dramatic at all. I think it is heart wrenching, and like wherever you are on the spectrum, whether it's just like an occasional accident or something like really debilitating, the fact that it's just ever present, it's just always there. You, like you say, you have to, in some situations, just rethink your whole life around it, and that does matter. Like if you love carnival and you're not going, that's massive. Like
Yeah.
that's having a huge impact on your life actually. And for
Yeah.
12 years as well, right?
Yeah, 12 years, 12 years and counting. And it's so funny because I've been like researching, because I go to the doctors about it, and they give you the leaflets and tell you to do the pelvic floor exercises, and then they tell you, okay, you've tried that, it's not working, fine. Go, and they give you like the sheet with the measurements on it, and you're meant to like measure how much wee you're passing throughout the day and stuff
Okay,
like
the
that.
bladder
And
diary.
yeah, that's it, the bladder diary. So I've done all of that. And then I remember one year I was, where I was working, I had private health insurance. And so I got referred privately. And they did like the ultrasound and everything. And I got given these tablets to try and like take away that urge for when you want to, use the toilet. And they didn't work at all. Tablets did not work at all. So I was like, okay, fine. That's not working. What next? And it kind of was like, well, we don't really have anything else. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to live with this for like the rest of my life. This is ridiculous. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. And so I kind of left it for a while. And then pre-pandemic, I said, look, this is ridiculous now. Like I need to be referred to a specialist. So I went back to my GP. They referred me. Then the pandemic happened, and it's only having, obviously we know what NHS services were like right at the beginning of the pandemic. So it was me constantly chasing, guys, has this referral gone through? Has this referral gone through? Then the pandemic hit properly in like March 2020. So we went through the whole of 2020. I kind of left it because I was like, right, we're in a global pandemic, right? So I'll let you guys off. So at the beginning of this year, I was like chasing my doctor again, like what's happening with this referral? What's happening with this referral? Got to the summer, chased them again, and it's only a couple of months ago that I got a letter through with the referral. So bearing in mind, I went back to my GP in like October-ish 2019. We're now in 2021. So I finally got a referral letter from the hospital saying, yep, I've got an appointment in March 2022.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
like, okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. After 2.5 years, we're getting somewhere. Um, so I was like, my God, like I can't wait that long. That's like 6, 7 months. Like this is ridiculous. So went back to kind of my private health insurance, which I've taken out separately, but because it was a pre-existing condition, I can't be referred privately. So I was like,
Oh,
fine.
right.
So I spoke to one of the private GPs, and I said to them, look, I can't wait until March 2022. Like, this is ridiculous now. It's getting to a point where, like, my bladder is so weak. If I'm out on it, there was a time I was out on a night out, and I was like, oh my God, I need to use the toilet, and it was just coming, and I was like, I've got to go home. Like, I was starting to feel so depressed that this whole kind of weak bladder and incontinence was like taking over my whole life. So the private GP was like, we don't normally give tablets without, because this is on the apps, right? The GP apps that you can have on your phone. And they were like, we don't normally prescribe without seeing the patient. So I was like, seriously, this is taking over my life. So they gave me some tablets and were like, you need to go and see your normal GP in 4 weeks, just in case it's causing, like urine retention or whatever. Like, we just need you to go and get checked out. The tablets haven't worked at all. So I've kind of just left that. I haven't been back to see my GP, but I'm literally counting down the days to my hospital referral, because I think the reason why it's so important for me to talk about it is because at first I was really embarrassed, like super embarrassed about it. And then it became like a running joke amongst my friends. But then my friends that have had kids, they're like, oh my God, me too. Me too. Yeah, me too. Like, I can't hold that wee when I need to go toilet. I need to go toilet. And I was like, wow, this is amazing, because it's clearly something that a lot of mums or a lot of women who have been through childbirth experience post childbirth, but no one's talking about it. And actually, if it's happening to everyone, what is there to be, or the majority of people, what is there to be embarrassed about, right? Like, normally we're about embarrassed about things that don't affect the majority. But if actually this is something that is affecting the majority, it's not really something that we should be embarrassed about. Like, it's something that actually we should talk about more, so people know that actually it's okay. Like, that's normal. But also, I remember speaking to somebody about it, and she was saying, yeah, no, it's not something that you should just have to live with. It's not something you should have to live with. And if you're doing your pelvic floor exercises and it's not working, go and see your GP. Like, that's not something that you should just have to deal with or should just become a part of your day-to-day life. And so, yeah, it's that's where we're at the moment.
It is like this though. You're absolutely right, and that's exactly my motivation for doing this as well. Because I just think, so I've got two children. I've got a daughter who's nearly 9 and a son who's nearly 7. And I think about my daughter in particular. If she grows up and goes on to be a mum, if that's a route that she goes down, I would hate for something like this to happen to her and for her to feel as isolated and confused and not knowing where to go for help. And this is just how it is now, and we have to all just put up with it. All of those feelings that so many people tell me about all the time, I don't want that for her. We need to just start talking about this, because once you can do that, you just go, right, well, I'll just treat it like I would treat any other medical condition. I'll go to the doctor, we'll try this. If that doesn't work, we'll try something else. Physio is an option for a lot of people. I know, like, when we spoke last time, that's not something that has even really been
No.
talked about with you, has
No,
it?
they haven't spoken to me about physio or anything. I think doing my research, I saw that you can get like Botox injections in your bladder, which helps the bladder muscles. And I was like, oh, okay, that's definitely something that I'm going to have to talk to my consultant when I do go to my referral. And I think when we spoke as well, you were saying about physio. So it's all of these things that, you either find out from doing your own research or you find out from talking to other people about it, which you can then arm yourself with that knowledge and
Yeah.
go into that appointment with your GP, or if you've been referred to the hospital, and say, well, actually, can we try these things as well? Because, like I said, I tried the tablets previously, they didn't work, and it kind of was like, okay, there's nothing else we can do. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, actually, there is stuff that you can do. But because I hadn't done my own research at that point or had this conversation, I wasn't aware of the other alternatives. But
Yeah.
now that I am, I feel more empowered to actually really advocate for my own treatment and say, well, actually, we need to try XYZ before you say there's nothing else that can be done.
That's exactly it. So how are you feeling about it all right now then? So you've got this appointment coming down the road in March, although that is a way away and there's so much
Yeah.
uncertainty still. So like where are you at with it all?
I will be very disappointed if that appointment gets moved, like super disappointed. And I know that, in the grand scheme of things, there's other more pressing priorities, if it does get cancelled for whatever reason. But I think at the moment I'm still at that point where, I have to use the toilet before I leave the house and be wary about how much I drink when I'm out and about. It's all about pre-planning, and I'm not the most organized person at all. So I think that takes a lot. It's shown a lot of growth with me, actually, that I've been able to, you know, pre-plan my toilet breaks. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment, and kind of what I'm having to do to temporarily solve the problem or manage the problem until I get that referral. So yeah.
I was thinking, I bet your friends were like, I know must have been horrible for you being quite young and a mum and having these issues and sharing it with your friends, and they're all kind of laughing and making a joke of it because that's what we do just to kind of get through things. But then that realization for them when they became mums and they were like, oh, right, Carina, we get it now.
Yeah.
But at least they had you, like you'd already gone out there and spoken about it. And I think that must have made quite a big difference for them.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's one of those things. The more that we talk about things and the more we talk about things that affect us as mums, as women, as individuals, it takes away those barriers, right? For people to start normalizing the conversations and normalizing the things that happen to us through the realm of childbirth or once we've had a child. So for my a lot of my friends, just because of the way that we are and the nature of the way that we are as well, it's quite easy to have those conversations and to laugh about it and whatever. And they're also so understanding. I remember went out with one of my friends and she literally was like bursting to use the toilet, right? She also had quite a bit to drink and she leaked a little bit before she got to the toilet. And literally we were all standing like walking behind her and stuff like that, like to
Oh,
like shadow her and whatever. And it was like, right, okay, you stay in the toilet, we're going to go and get your jacket so we can put your jacket over you. But actually, maybe before we do that, you stay in the toilet, take off your jeans, pass them over, and we'll dry them on the dry. We talk about kind of sisterhood and friendship
Yeah.
and what it means, but it's, when you look at things like that, and I think back on things like that, I laugh, not because it's a joke, but I laugh because we talk about sisterhood and we talk about friendship in the realms of supporting each other and,
Yeah.
being there for each other. But when you're a mum, that opens up a whole nother world as to what it means to support your friends, or,
Yeah.
to have that sisterhood and that village around you. And, we just do what's got to be done in
Yeah.
those instances. So,
And that gives you so much strength, that knowing that you're not alone and being part of that community, and okay, they get it. We can
They
work through
you
this together.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering, is there anything that would have helped you sooner, do you think? Because it's been such a long time.
I think just knowing that was an issue, that could be an issue. Like I said, like everyone was just like, oh, weak bladder after childbirth. Oh, just do your pelvic floor exercises. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm not doing them right, or maybe I'm not doing it enough because this isn't fixing the problem. So I think just knowing early on that actually just doing your pelvic floor exercises doesn't fix it for some people, and it's okay to say, actually, I need to go to the doctors about this. It's not something that you have to live with. I think for a very long time the narrative that was put to me was, you just have to put up with it, put up or shut up. And that's not true. You don't have to live with it. There are treatments and things that can be done to help you manage it or to cure it, in a sense. So yeah, I think just knowing early on that actually it's okay not to be okay, and that you can go to the doctors about it. Maybe I probably would have gone a lot earlier and a lot sooner than, when my daughter was 8, 9.
Yeah. Mind you, you don't have any time before then. You don't have any time to think about anything. And then you put
It's
yourself to
true.
the bottom of the list, don't you? Like, I've got
It's
to do everything
true.
else first.
It's true, so true, so true. But yeah, I definitely think if there's anybody listening and they're thinking, actually, yeah, I'm going through the same thing, just go and see your GP and don't let them tell you that there's nothing that can be done, because there's so many different things that can be done.
I could not have put it better myself. The hospital appointment Carina spoke about is happening this week, so fingers crossed for that. I really enjoyed that chat, and I hope you did too. Black Mums Up Front is exactly how it's written on Instagram, at Black Mums Up Front. As ever, none of this is intended as medical advice, so please do seek out your own support. Next week, the M word, menopause, perimenopause, it's gonna happen. So what does it mean for those of us with pelvic floor problems? In the meantime, please help to share the podcast. It's kind of the only way it's getting out there. Tell a friend, spam a WhatsApp group, post on social media, write a review wherever you can. It all helps to spread the word. You can support the podcast on buymeacoffee.com/whymumsdon'tjump, and it can be completely anonymous if you prefer. And you can find me on social at whymumsdon'tjump or online at whymumsdon'tjump.com. Bye for now.